Hi, I'm Ron Paulk, and I'm not down in the shop working on the smart wood shop today. I am actually down here dropping off the cameras and sort of surveying where I'm at and just filling my mind up with the things I've done and the things I need to do so that I can promptly, when I walk out the door, forget about them and let my creative mind work on things while I take a family day. I've been shooting videos every day of putting the smart wood shop together. I've got a series coming that's going to be multiple videos, start to finish, on building the smart wood shop. In that series, you're going to see me use just about every one of my tools. It's a lot of cabinet making, a lot of almost finish, although I'm not considering it finish work, but it is building cabinets and fitting casework. So I have to manufacture all of the puzzle pieces, and I have tools to do that. One of the tools that you'll see me use, and that's what this video is about, this tool, the Blum Minipress. This is not my first Blum Minipress. Back when I had my cabinet shop, I had two of these. They're big brothers, actually, that were, one of them was 220 single phase and the other was a 3-phase that I had picked up used. And they were identical other than that. And one machine was set up to do the line boring and the other one to cut for the hardware, like the hinges for the doors. And this machine will do both. The line boring, which cuts the holes for the shelf pins, for the drawer glides, for lots of the hardware, is an option that, in fact, this line boring head is the same one that I had before. When I sold my machines, I kept the line boring head. This is a 7 spindle head, so it will do 7 holes at a time. And with these pins, they drop into the last drilled hole and index them perfectly for the perfect spacing for the 32 millimeter system, drilling 5 millimeter holes. And these, they cut beautiful clean holes in any kind of material. The 7 bits are more like router bits, and they turn in opposite directions. So really clean cut. If I pop this off, and it doesn't take any tools, it's a matter of just loosening here and this drops off, and then there's some rotation, and then I can put in 3 bits that will drill the, I think it's the 35 or 38 millimeter cup hinge hole, and then the 2, I believe 8 millimeter holes, and that fits in, you know, the hardware, again, like the various door hardware that you can get in that 32 millimeter system. What I'm talking about in the holes, here's a cabinet that I'm not using. I made it for the smart wood shop, and as I've progressed, this is one of the cabinets that got deleted, and I started taking it apart, and I decided this would be a good example. You can see these holes here and the way they're lined up. They're perfectly lined up, and I'm able to drill these 7 holes at a time. Now in the trailer, I'm not going to be using these to hold the shelves up. These will take the 5 millimeter pins and I'll set the shelves in it. I use them in my trailer for alignment because the shelves will all have pocket holes drilled in them, and I'll just line them up and then put in the pocket screws. And then if I want to adjust in the future, it's pretty easy. I just find, since I have the equipment, it's easier to do that than it is to try to measure and hold the shelf in the right place and put the pocket holes in. So I use them for indexing, but in a kitchen or in a garage where I'm not driving down the road and things are bouncing, I wouldn't bother with the pocket holes. These would be all that I need. And there's a variety of pins that fit in these 5 millimeter holes. This machine is their lightest, smallest machine. It's not physically, the parts and pieces are the same as the other, except it doesn't have the air clamps. The other one had air ran to it, and then it was automatic. So when you pushed a button, it drilled the holes and came back up, and the pins reset, and then you moved, and you're manually moving it, but just pushing a button, and it would clamp and drill and pop, you know, and reset, and you'd move. It's a little quicker, but it's a really heavy machine with all of that stuff. So I wanted one that ran off of 110, one that I could sort of pick up. It's still heavy, but I can pick this thing up, leaning it into my body and carry it. And it has everything that I need. So I have the line boring head. I can pop this off and change the operation to drilling for the cup hinges in about 2 minutes. And so it's nice for my current way of working, which is portable or mobile. So this is a tool that, though it's heavy, I can take it with me job to job. One of the future projects I'm going to do is build, I'm tired of carrying this, so I'm going to build a stand that puts the height of the work table at the same height as my workbenches. I'm going to put some wheels on it so that when it's on the job, I can roll it around and put it next to my benches or between a couple of benches and use it for my when I'm doing my longer cuts. And again, I will put wheels on it, but I'm also thinking of just smaller wheels to roll it around in the house that I'm working in or in the shop, and then setting it up so that there's a base kind of in the middle that I've got a large pneumatic wheeled hand truck that I always have with me, and I want to be able to roll it under there, tip it back and roll it, because you know when you're going on a job, sometimes you're going down sidewalks or up a few stairs or across grass, and just having those caster wheels, even big ones, really wouldn't work well. So I think being able to tip it back and roll it onto the job. So you'll get to see, that'll be a future project. Now this machine is not inexpensive, but it's one of those investments that pays for itself if you do cabinetry work. They make much more productive, more expensive machines for the big shops. And of course with CNC, there's a lot of that being done with CNC machines now. But having a dedicated machine that takes care of that, for me, pays for itself. Now if you are doing a little bit of cabinetry and you need the precision of this, but it's just not worth the investment, there are some good alternatives that will provide you with the precision, just take you a little bit longer because you're having to drill or route one hole at a time. Even if you have the larger industrial machinery or CNC or the Blum Minipress the way I do, you'll find on the job there's a lot of times where you have some situation where you need to drill the holes with the precision, but either it's a remodel job and there's cabinets already in and you have to do some modifications in place, or you've missed something, you've got to add something. It happens. And so even if you've got that equipment, you really need the smaller manual equipment as well. So it's great for somebody getting into cabinetry because you can start with this, and then as you do more cabinetry work, you can begin to upgrade to some of the more productive machinery. One of the tools that I've had for years is this, it's from TP. This basically will do everything that the Blum Minipress will do. It has all the holes lined up. I don't have it out, but it comes with a 5mm drill bit with an adjustable stop. And you basically put it in your battery drill, and this has all of the markings and the setbacks. So if I'm doing the edge of a cabinet, whether I'm doing pre-manufacturing the way I do in the shop, where I have all my sides cut and then it's time to drill the inline holes, this thing sets up, you set up the setback, and then you put it on each piece, and then you have your drill bit. These are brass inserts, I believe. They don't cut away, so the 5mm bit fits perfect. There's no slop with the stop, and you just start your drilling. And it has end stops so that you go right to the edge. You know you're pulling tight and pushing tight, and then you just do your drilling, and then you flip it around, you do the other side, and then go on to your next piece. Again, I'm drilling one hole at a time, so at minimum it's 7 times slower, but the reality it's even slower than that because pulling down or pushing a button and have it drill 7 and then just move it, that's much quicker than this. This tool has a lot of other features. I can take off the setback, and then if I'm working in the inside of a cabinet, so that does from the front edge, from the face, but if I got to do a cabinet that's already set back in the inside, I can set this up and work inside the cabinet, from the backside as well. Also, this is my primary tool for installing knobs, whether they're single hole or double hole. This setup has a center mark, and so what I do is, when I'm doing my drawers, all I have to do is take these two right here, and I can actually mount, say, a handle of some type that has two holes. It doesn't matter what size it is. I can actually mount it in these two holes, screw it in, and then move it until it's perfectly centered at 0, so I get the same number on both sides. Tighten it down, it's locked in, and then my setback from the edge of the door, I set that up, and then I can go around and, with the cabinets installed, drill my, of course I've removed the handle, then I can just drill my hardware, and it works perfect every time. I have another tool that is also designed specifically for that, and that's this one, and you can adjust, you can do single hole or double hole, and you can adjust the spacing if you've got a long pull or a short one. And then you could offset from the top and from the side, and then this will go out, whatever distance you need to get to the center, because you're typically setting your handles from center. But sometimes, like on drawers, you're setting, mine are typically center of style and then up. I have a particular way that I install all my hardware, so this can be set up for that. But even though I have this one, I've just found that this one works the best for me, and so it has a lot of wear and tear. I've used this for a lot of years. If you don't have the expensive machine, there's little plastic jigs that just have marks that you can make and then pull the jig off and drill. This one's a little more sophisticated. It's from Fish. I'll put a link to this if I can find it, because I've had this a lot of years. I assume they're still in the market. And also this company, this stuff is not inexpensive, but it's one of those value products. It's small level production, US made, and really hits the needs for a lot of precision woodworking. And they have a lot of other tools that work with routers and for doing circle cutting and all kind of amazing things. So I'll put a link to this company as well. This is something I would have never bumped into in a tool store. I was actually at a woodworker show, had to be 15, 20 years ago, and the designer of this, the guy that invented it and still I believe is the owner and creates it, was there demonstrating it, and I looked at what he was doing, and I was so amazed that I ended up buying this at the show. But you can get it online. But this one here, this one is just, it works with all of the brands of cup hinges out there for the 32 millimeter system. You just dial in the setbacks, and everything is adjustable. And once it's adjusted, then you just clamp it on the edge of your door. You can do it with the, right on your, on the job. If you do, some companies will, some custom companies will build all of their cabinetry parts in their shop, and then they will take it all disassembled to the job, which is the way I did it. Do the assembly of boxes there. It's easier to move things around than moving full boxes, and then have the doors and cut the doors in place. And again, I bring my mini press, but occasionally don't want to get that out, and this will do it perfectly. It's got the drill bits in it, all three, so it does the large hole as well as the two little side holes, and it has a tool here that you just put in your battery drill, and this just spins those and you just push them down. So this is a nice little tool. Again, these real precision tools aren't super inexpensive, but even if you have the production equipment, you still need this stuff occasionally, and so it works out well. So I will put a link to this. Now another tool, I did a video on these. These are very inexpensive. Craig's doing a lot of cool stuff. They have a setup that's not as sophisticated as this, but it'll do the job, that's far less expensive. So again, I'll put a link to Craig on their few cabinet tools as well. But I did a video on these before. These are fantastic. When you are mounting drawers and drawer hardware, these just clamp with the Craig clamps right on the face of your cabinets, and you're able to just lay the hardware out with the drawer in place, put it on the drawer and in the cabinet. And I think these are like $20, and they're all set up. They've got they've done a good job of designing them, and they're all out of plastic and not the super high-end stuff like this, but they do a great job. So the point of all of this, whether you use these tools or there's lots of others for inline boring, Festool makes a track that you can click and drill, route one hole at a time. Again, there's a lot of companies that do this. The 32 millimeter system is kind of an industry standard. It's the spacing of these 5 millimeter holes, and all of the hardware just plugs into those holes. And so it gives you the ability to do those basic boxes with your inline boring and then put in all of that fancy drawer slides, and they make just so many of them, and door hardware that cantilevers out, and all, pocket flipper doors. All of this stuff works off of that 32 millimeter system. So it's a good idea to find out about it and get some kind of system. And some guys I've seen even create their own jigs in the shop. I'd probably be a little suspicious of being able to get the precision of this kind of stuff, obviously probably made on CNCs and absolutely perfect. So worth the investment, at least at some level. Well, the rest of my day is going to be spent with family, and I'm looking forward to it. If you want to follow along with building the Smart Wood Shop and seeing me use this machinery and put the whole thing together, then subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, there's a small bell. A lot of people miss that. You click on it, and it'll give you the option to get an email every time I put up a new video, so you won't miss it. Also, give me some comments. Let's have a dialogue. It's good for me because I learn, but also other people read the comments as well, and so they can be a good dialogue, and we can take it and cover the things that I may have missed. Most important, give me a thumbs up. That sends a signal to the YouTube algorithm, and it drives the video up, and more people will see it. And hopefully it'll be people that are looking for some ideas or for some help with their woodwork. Also, if you want a set of the Awesome Rolling Toolbox plans, a set of workbench plans, click on the link right here in the video. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Have a great day.